Once I get to the point where I am ready to begin interventions, the very first thing that I say to children, that you will hear me say again in the process of this video, is that I do my work based on something that I know is true and they know it's true too. And that's that our brains and our bodies are connected and that they chatter back and forth all of the time. Kids absolutely know that that's true. If you say to someone, when your stomach is growling, what's the message to your brain? And they can very easily say, I'm hungry. If you're yawning, what's the message? If you have goosebumps on your skin, what's the message to your brain? In exactly the same way, as Shelby has described, every single time a person has a thought or an emotion, it is possible for every single system of their body to respond to that thought or emotion. And so once you can begin to help kids understand that, you can help them to begin to connect their brain and their body and understanding how that works together. One of the first things that I do is to help children understand how their body works. And again, depending upon their chronological age or level of development, they certainly understand it differently. But children as young as 3 or 4, you say to them, do you have any muscles? And think about it. We all know what they do. They go, huh, like this. Or maybe they look down at their legs. But most of the time, they put them out here for you to grab onto. And so it is a very natural process then to teach them how their body works. I do a lot with drawing pictures with children. And when I do that, by the way, the very first thing I say to them is, are you good at art? Well, sometimes they say yes and sometimes they say no. And I am not. So immediately I say, okay, I'm not, but let's draw a picture of how the body works. And so so I do it like this. And Shelby, I'm not. Are you good at art? You are.
Not really. Sometimes.
You're not? Well, I am not. Okay, so we make a head and we make some eyes and we make, a face, and well, kids always have to have hair, right?
Right.
All right. And then this is where it gets sketchy after this point in time, but we draw a picture of the body like this, put on some fingers, right? Kids will count them sometimes, then I'm in trouble, and then we put on some feet, because this part I don't really care about,
Yeah.
right? So the beginning of the body would look something like this. So I draw this picture of the body, and then I always put in a heart,
Yes.
because I think that's important. If I'm talking with a child who has problems with body mastery, children who have trouble, for example, being toilet trained or using the toilet, an easy way to do it is to draw the insides. So help me with this. First you eat,
Yeah.
right? Where does the food go?
To your tummy.
Well, yeah, down that tube, right?
Yep.
Into your tummy, right? Then it goes into the stomach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes round and around and around and around and around and around in all those little tubes, right? What happens to food in the stomach?
It gets smaller. It compacts.
It gets smaller and compacts. It starts to digest, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oftentimes what I'll do with kids is it goes squish, 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 and starts to get all squished up. So the healthy part of your food can go into your body. Once it gets into all these tubes called the small intestines, it gets squished up some more, doesn't it? Squish, 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 squish. So all the good parts of the food can go down to your toes and your elbows and your knees and your nose and all those places. But every single time you eat, there's always part of your food that your body doesn't need. That goes in to the big tube, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, by the way, my definition, Shelby, of poop is the part of your food that your body doesn't need. So it goes into this big tube here and then has to get pushed all the way around. And this is where muscles come in. Because at that point then, I can talk with children about how they have muscles all over their body and how they can be the boss of their body and be in control of those muscles. They know they have muscles in their arm or in their leg. They don't know that they have muscles around the anus or around their urethra. But they can quickly learn that they have muscles there as well. And although you can't demonstrate those muscles in your office, very easily. You can demonstrate them very easily by using the muscles on the face. So I will say, close your mouth so tight that I can't open it. And they'll go like this, and virtually you cannot open their mouth. Or close your eyes so tight that you can't open your eyes. And then you can pull on that. You can even put your arm out, Shelby. Put it out really straight, really tight. Make it so tight that I cannot push it down. And you can demonstrate with kids very easily their ability to be the master of their bodies and use their muscles. You can then take these pictures or take the picture of whatever it is that's going on. Start with what they know about their body and then plan your intervention from that point forward. For example, when you're teaching children to tie their shoes, you would never start at the very last bow. You start with crossing the strings. Another example, you never start with having the child be successful going poop in the toilet. You have them start by being willing to sit there. So you always have to start a behavior program, no matter what the focus or the problem is, where the child understands and can be successful. Lastly, I want to share with you a few of the analogies that I have gathered over the time that I have found helpful in helping children understand their bodies and in learning ways of developing mastery. I call it therapeutic language. It is the language and the words that we use that give important messages to children. It is the language actually of hypnosis that invites one's innate inner wisdom to identify problems and avenues for healing. There are a lot of really fun analogies that you can use for kids, and here are a few of them. Your brain is like the master computer of your body. And just like a computer, there are times when you have to go in, highlight what isn't working, delete it, and put in something new. Your brain works a lot like a television, and you are in charge of the remote. What does a remote do? First of all, you turn it on. Yep, and then you get to channel surf around like your dad does, you know, and find your favorite place channel. You can turn up the volume, you can change the brightness, and I will always say to kids, and you know, I have so many channels or buttons on my remote that I don't even know what they all do. But just like the remote, you can find the channel in your mind that helps you feel comfortable and safe and the master of your body, and you can change the channel. Shelby, will you pretend with me for a minute?
Yes.
Would you be willing to just pretend
Yes.
that you have a TV inside your brain?
Yep.
Now, it could be as little as they're on a phone these days, or it can be a movie screen, because you're going to be an actress, I know that. But it's your TV. Turn it on.
Okay.
Channel surf around until you get a picture of your favorite food. What comes to your brain?
Chinese food.
Chinese food.
Yes.
All right. And mine today is corn on the cob. So we have different channels, don't we?
Yes.
Change the channel. Think about a favorite piece of clothing. Got it?
Yep.
What is it?
My jammies.
Of course. Something that's very soft and comfortable.
Yep.
Right. Change the channel. If you didn't have to be here today, if you had all the time and all the money in the world and you could be doing anything that you wanted to do, where would you be and what would you do?
I would be in Disney World with the Disney princesses.
Whoa,
Yeah.
sounds like fun.
Yep.
Change the channel one last time. Just for a moment, imagine that starting 9th grade at your high school goes very, very well. Let yourself imagine that those friends that are comfortable and supporting to you are there, that you find your way around easily, and there's maybe helpful adults, and you go home at the end of the day and say, wow, Mom, I did it, and this was cool. you can change the channel. If something is very uncomfortable for you, you can switch it to something that is much more pleasing. If you're needing to think through how you would want something to turn out, how you would want it to work, you can change the channel and make it work in that way.
Yep.
So, helping children learn about the TV in their brain can be extremely helpful. It is also helpful to give kids some suggestions for positive outcomes. Some examples of this is to say to children, it may be interesting for you to notice that when, not if, but when, you get to high school and things go well, or you sleep through the night, stop biting your fingernails and grow lovely fingernails, start pooping in the toilet, whatever it is that you're talking about. When you start doing this, it might be interesting for you to notice how easy it is, how quickly it happens, how very much better you are at it than you imagined that you might be. I also encourage children to practice brain power exercises. This is one of the terms that I use for self-hypnosis, but brain power exercises is really using their capacity to practice inside their minds things that they are learning. You can say, you can do this just like you have learned so many things before. Think back to when you were unable to ride a two-wheel bike, or you didn't know how to write your name, or you didn't know how to skate, and how by practicing you got so much better at that, and you'll be able to get good at this in the same kind of way. It's also helpful to give them a time frame. It might be fun for you to notice how quickly you're able to make a change. And as soon as you make one little shift, kids will start to feel successful. It is important to say, do this because it will help you fall asleep more quickly. It will help you breathe in a more comfortable way. It will make it easier. Give them reasons and give them information about how their bodies will change when they're doing what you ask of them. I have taken two words and just chucked them right out of my vocabulary in working with children. One is, I can't. I can't do this. I can't fall asleep. I can't do this. And generally, that conveys really a sense of won't. And so I tell children that I just chuck that word right out of my vocabulary and I say, you haven't yet. Not can't, but yet. The second word that I've tossed out of my vocabulary is the word try. We don't try to do things. For example, we don't try to pick up a pen. You either pick up the pen or you don't pick up the pen. So I tell children that they're going to do their very best. Sometimes they may be more successful than they are at other times, but it is not about whether or not they are going to try. And lastly, every time they leave my office, I hope that I say to them, and I want you to take what you have learned today. I want you to take what has been helpful. I want you to take what you can think you will use and put it into that part of your memory, that part of your brain that knows how to take care of your body really, really well. And you can know and trust that the more you practice this, the more it will be there when you need it.